Their CEO Wisdom Pod with a fan of the pod, Miroslav Dragonov. I've been listening to many pods and been liking my content on LinkedIn, which is always appreciated to see that some folks resonate with that content. Miroslav is a CEO. He's also a co-founder. He's a coach. He's a public speaker. He's a WEF Global Shaper alumni. So we're going to have fun talking about all of these topics. This podcast brought to you by podbuyer.com. If you want to start a podcast, scale a podcast, or be invited to one, you can go to podbuyer.com. Podcasts are pretty cool. You can share knowledge, get insights, get leads, get subscribers, grow your community, and just have fun while making cash, obviously, because a bunch of clients become my customers. Podbuyer.com for that. Miro, can you introduce us to yourself and tell us a bit more about your companies?
Thank you, Charles, for inviting me to me here. My personal brand is Keep on Smiling, which means that whatever happened in my life, I keep on smiling. That's let's start from there. I consider myself as a serial entrepreneur and social impact maker together. So money, yes, but for good. That's how our startup now is my third company, actually. And we started from Macedonia. It's originally a Macedonian startup, but now we are in Poland. And we grow in European Union and very soon in North America and other worldwide, globally. In meantime, aside from our startup, I was part of a lot of international organizations, especially World Economic Forum, like Global Shapers Initiative. I was part of this Impact Council. They are like one of 11 members chosen worldwide out of 14,000 to be there to help youth worldwide for greater impact, to make greater impact through the projects and so on. But thanks for having me. In the future, I will fully dedicate my time to our startup growth and growth and scale up, especially in America. And I like to talk everything connected within entrepreneurship and from resilience to making faster money.
Love it, dude. I thought you would say I would dedicate my full time to liking your content. I was like, yes.
That's true. That's true. Everything is content.
Love it, dude. I checked your career. You started as a lawyer, and in a court, like, you cannot smile too much, right? So, like, tell us about that evolution. So, being a lawyer, being serious for that many years, and then dropping out of that and be like, no, man, I'm gonna laugh and have fun and be a public speaker.
Yeah, it looks like that from external perspective, but honestly, what happened, like, from my childhood, I was focused on justice, and I would say back then, when I was a child, I didn't know exactly the difference between law and justice. So that's why I enrolled in the law school, from high school and so on, and later on the law faculty. But actually, in the meantime, also, like, from my high school ages, also I was part of public speaking competitions, trainings, and so on. So it was actually a simultaneous process, like 20 years now. I'm 35 still. I'm still youth, let's say. But this all started like from my 15 years old, when I was 15 years. And so simultaneously, I was doing my serious job, serious thing, like to be a lawyer in the court, as you said, and to do a lot of negotiations, a lot of court hearings, a lot of due diligences already, and everything about that. But simultaneously, I was doing like additional work with a lot of trainings, public speaking, being part of juries, international events, and so on and so on. So at some point, I shift from this court, being in the attorney's office, previously at the faculty, then in the bank, simultaneously doing both legal and banking jobs, like economics job a little bit, but risk, tackling the risk, let's say, from legal perspective. And then shifting to human rights, which is actually the shift from human rights to social entrepreneurship, which was something logical for me back then. And that's how in time of before COVID, when we needed tech solution, and I wanted to be part of this solution, actually how we came up with HR solution, which is HR. I already did a lot of trainings, a lot of team buildings, but I had no software for that, and that's why we said, okay, let's build it, and we started from there, and that's how actually we improve it, and we put artificial intelligence, and we scale it up to be here, and that's why this is maybe because I was doing at least 3 jobs simultaneously in my life, honestly, and that's why I have time for all of this to do it simultaneously.
I want to touch base on a point you mentioned earlier: justice vs legal, or justice vs the law. I call it ethics vs the law. And my career path before I wasn't accepted in the law program was to be a lawyer. For that reason, yes, but mostly because I was good at arguing. I had an outsized ego, and I'm glad that I didn't make it. The best buddy of mine made it in the program for me, so he made it for the team. I realized also that legal was not at all justice. I was sued in my decade of activity as an entrepreneur, and the verdict was not for them, but I still have to pay a client that I worked for many years. Well, not many years, but many months. And then I realized that, okay, this system is not just, this shouldn't have been the outcome for sure. Maybe chop the apple in half or something like that. And yeah, I think not a lot of folks realize that. My question for you is, do you think, or how could we make the legal system more just? And is the legal system even the right way to make this world more just?
It's one perspective. I would say not the full cycle, not the full picture. Legal system, it's only one part of justice. That's actually what I understood through my years of practical implementation of law.
And what is justice, anyways? Does it exist, justice, or is it a perception?
Yes, well, that's what I wanted to say. You were right when you started comparing justice with ethics, because there are some dots for connection there. Because when I was assistant professor at the Faculty of Law, I was actually on the subject sociology of law, which is actually great, broader perspective of the norms, which are part legal norms, but you have moral norms, you have religion, you have other norms in our lives. And ethics and justice are more philosophical, let's say, maybe more abstract, but it's something that could be, what is good to be done, like not to have some harm to other people, but to do the right thing. And that's what is that? Usually you have not only lawyers. You don't need only lawyers. Yes, the legal system is here to have some basis, to establish some procedures, some basics for that. But not only that. For example, that's why European Court for Human Rights is a little bit broader perspective of every law. That's why you have, for example, now in the EU, it's a big talk about first AI regulation, AI Act, but this is talk for 2.5 years until now or more. What does it mean? That justice was before the law. We still don't have law. We are still not there, right? But we have justice in our mind. We have ethics in our mind. That's why we're talking about responsible AI, let's say. That's why we're talking about how this law should have been implemented to be just. It's not about being a law, because in the past, for example, that's why laws are changing all the time, because the society needs something else. The society needs justice to be regulated in a different way that was so far, let's say. So that's actually to understand that legal system, it's only one perspective, but we need to have it broader, like cultural thing, context. We need moral norms. We sometimes religion depends on the country, depends on the people, but we need to have it in broader perspective. Not always majority is right, which usually majority in one society establish these moral norms, let's say, and these moral norms ask for legal norms after that. But usually sometimes justice is accepted by more people. It's not something that one person only think that is justice, because it's only one perspective. We need more perspectives here.
Right, it's constantly moving and let's hope improving. What world Guinness record are you the holder of?
This is an interesting story, honestly. It was the first time established by Richard Branson. We all know him. 2015, so it was like 8 years ago. And after that, 2019, it was beaten by German startup. Actually, this is the longest business pitch marathon, so startup pitch marathon, which means that you have on one let's say setting, in one table, different startups that continuously pitching without break, or you have limited breaks, like for example 5 minutes in, I don't know, in 2 hours or 3 hours, just to to go to a toilet shortly and to no eating, nothing. So Richard Branson made it back then like for 28 hours something and 50 minutes, I think, without break. German startup made it 29 hours and something shortly, and we made it 30 hours and 2 minutes. So we made it fully, and actually Guinness record representatives were there last May. It was in Skopje in Macedonia. We had more than 60-70 startups there, and I was part of permanent jury member. I was one of 4 permanent jury members, and the point here was also here there are some tips in these procedures. All of us should follow the same time. In the same time we go to the toilet, same time we use break. It was really strict, and at the same time it's really meaningful because we chose the best 5 startups. We support them in pre-seed investment.
Whoa. Okay, so you were a jury. You sat down for literally 30 hours listening to pitches. Yes. Holy shit. Did you fall asleep? You probably did that many times. Did you?
No, it happened once. Me and all of us were, a little bit. But I know very well my organism. And in that cases, I drink a lot Schweppes and Coke, because it's not healthy, I know, but it's something that keeps me alive. And,
the caffeine and...
Yes. And I drank, I don't know, like the whole fridge. We have fridge near our table, and, we just take.
Oh, my God. At the end, it's like, yeah, let's go, 1 million. You're like drunk on sleep, Here's your 2 million. There you go. It's my God.
I think between 5 and 6 a.m.
Yeah.
It was because we started. It was Saturday from 9 something. We started, so the full day, and the next day in the morning, let's say Sunday, it was between 5 and 6. It was the toughest period.
Yeah.
And back, I remember it was one startup who wanted to explain a lot. I mean, we asked the question, and they started to and then we were like, sorry, I'll come back. But everything was recorded. Everything was double checked by the jury from the Guinness from London. So we followed everything according to the rules, and we made it.
Oh, that's so good, man. That's so goddamn good. Yeah, this sometimes you can stand up, because I do these 10 days silent retreats. They start at 5 or 6, and you can't sleep. So, and you meditate pretty much the full day, so it's quite intense. And yeah, a lot of people actually, when they meditate, they fall asleep, right? So yeah, I know the challenge, and sometimes I just stand up, it's like, no, I'm not gonna, we say in French, cogner des clous, like hammering nails, like this. And I just stand up. There's also peppermint oil, because in the retreat I don't drink caffeine as well, which is another thing. So props on that. Not sure if you want to help me there, but I want to do a podcast marathon. So I'm gonna try to break that one. That was one of my objectives this year. Actually, that's probably how we got in touch. I just LinkedIn World Guinness record holder or something like that on LinkedIn. I want to do in 24 hours, 4 interview per hour. So that would be 96 interviews, but I want to hit the 100, right? So not sure. I need to figure out the 100. Like maybe I'll split 2 in 7 minutes, or actually 4. And like maybe you can assist me on that. Then if I have no shows, well, I need to probably do a bit more than 100. Let's call it 110, 10% no show rate, something like that. Let's talk and finish this up to talk about AI. What are your views on AI nowadays? Where are you taking your business, and why do you think this is the opportunity of a century?
AI is in our everyday lives now, but when majority of people still don't have the whole understanding, the whole information, they are firstly they are afraid. They have fear, and that's why you will have a chance to see and to read a lot of talks about risks of AI and so on and so on. I mean, yes, there are risks, and that's why I just started to talk a little bit about EU AI Act, the first regulation, because it will tackle some of these risks in different levels, like unacceptable risk, high risk, and so on, which is great. Some kind of regulations, because there was one example that I read, and I said, yes, that's the thing, that it's real risk. For example, if you have creatures that are made on based on AI, and let's say, so here you don't have responsible person, you don't have people, human, who will be responsible. And for example, he or she can create like something really that threaten that, or our beloved ones are under tortured, let's say, and it's something urgent, for example, and you will be out of your mind, right, to see what's going on. Of course, after some time you will handle, but this is a risk. So we need to prevent that. This is, let's say, legal and a risk perspective. But from the other side, there are a lot of benefits, and that's why we trust we can help that, especially in the process, in all the processes. That's also when you compare now ChatGPT, for example, with Google search with image. It's the same thing, but it's the process is faster, and because we have more data. Now the process is improved, so you have in 1 second something. For example, if you make mathematics calculation like 2 doubled with 5 is 10, but you when you have it on calculator is something that it's immediate, and now you have a lot of data, images, text with which is here. But from my perspective, I would say that we need always to have human and final decision. For example, in our HR world, let's say how it looks for example, you will have AI to find out real-time pain points in the let's say big corporations that we are working on, for example, or in recruitment process somehow or something. But the final decision, let's say exit of the company, should be made by the person, by the human, let's say HR manager or management board or whoever, because final decision in every process, in every industry, have to be made by human, because we have responsibility here. Otherwise, if it's made by AI creature, let's say, let's make it like that, we don't have responsibility. Everyone is make some contribution here, but no one is really responsible for that. So there are some talks about here intellectual property from one side, privacy, of course, but from the other side, for example, in the health tech as well. Like if you have AI, when you go to the physician now, they will ask in front of you, what is going on? What happened to you in last months, in last times? Which symptoms did you have? How many times did you bear? So you lost at least 10 minutes here, right? 10 or 15 minutes. But if you use AI here to have it all this information in advance, the physician and the patients will be easily accept, easily will communicate, and they will have some predictions. But at the end, physician is the competent one, the expert one who will bring decision and who will say, okay, based on this symptomatology or based on AI information that I received, you have this and this. But of course, the last decision should be always made by the person. But the whole process, it's great to be made by AI, because it's really easy. Our lives are easier, both in private lives, both in professional lives.
Right. And where can people find out more about you, Miro?
LinkedIn is my, like, Miroslav Dragonov, keep on smiling, is my one and only. And WeNet or winet.eu is our official website, so they can go there. They can see Lucy, our beagle dog, and Health First, so we can be in touch more there.
There you go. And I'm Charles, host of CEO Wisdom Podcast.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to podcast, podfire.com.